For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Sane Dhlamini. Political analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me to discuss about how do we break out of empty politics. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you.
You call for different types of politics, but why are you not giving attention to the fact that we have other campaigns like the Save SA and other campaigns that are around in the country?
I don't disagree with these campaigns in the sense that I do believe that getting rid of Zuma is a good thing. But a lot of these campaigns, especially the campaigns of the veterans and the MK veterans, struggle stalwarts and the MK veterans, even to some extent Save SA, rely on reinvigorating the ANC and returning the ANC to its once great past. Now, my view is that Jacob Zuma emerged from the ANC, and the problems that we have at the moment emerged from the ANC. So we need to look not just at Jacob Zuma as the problem, which he is, and I do agree with him going, but at what it is in the ANC that has made it possible for the problems of today to emerge. Now, I, as a former leader of the ANC and the SCCP, especially as someone who headed political education, I have to ask myself, what did I do that has made possible the type of politics that we have today? What was interesting, I was talking with someone who used to work with me in political education the other day, and political education meaning in the 1990s, and one of the things that we felt very strongly about is that the branches of the ANC had to be very vibrant, that politics was not simply elections. And we felt that, but we talked about this all the time. This other person reminded me, she says, we talked about that all the time. And that has disappeared. So it's not just a question of going back to the ANC. I also think that not everything was perfect before Zuma. There was patronage before Zuma. There was sometimes interference with the National Prosecuting Authority. And this point that I've made now about the character of the ANC, after 1994, people were not really keen on having a democratic life outside of Parliament and the leadership and a vibrant branch life, which we had tried in political education, and other organizers, we had tried to induct people into that, fell by the wayside. And I don't think that that can be blamed on Zuma. It must be blamed on the way in which leadership conceived leading. People felt it was something of a hindrance to have this constant debate with the membership and things like that. Other thing that I think is a problem is what is the type of democracy that Save South Africa wants to recover. And some people say that Save South Africa is a version of the UDF. No, I don't think it is. The UDF was a series of organized structures, not meetings, not people's assemblies, not people sending in things one by one. It was organizations established around housing, around health, around sport, around a whole lot of other things. So it's not a replica of the UDF, and I'm not sure that they intend that. What I said in the article is that I'm not calling really for a recreation of the UDF. The people who are unhappy about the present are not just the poor, which was the constituency, primary constituency of the UDF. And I think we need to build an alliance of people, including business. And they have got business. I mean, Sipho Petyana himself is from business. So I'm not sure what they have in mind with democracy, what type of democracy they have in mind, how they conceive it, whether it's broad enough, because I don't like this idea of sitting at home and every 5 years just going to vote. I don't see that as democracy for myself as an ordinary citizen.
So what is the place of electoral politics and the ANC in your scheme of things?
See, I'm not saying that elections are unimportant, and that when I argue that you have got to have a conception of democracy that goes beyond elections, doesn't mean that elections disappear. Elections are very important, and Parliament is very important. And I think it's very important for us as members of the public to ensure that what happens in Parliament, the democratic possibilities of Parliament, are used to the full. Now, before 1994, the committees of Parliament met behind closed doors. Now, I was in that first Parliament, and I was on the Rules Committee. And one of the things that we did is initiate a process whereby the rules were changed and the public could make representations to Parliament. That was part of the idea of democracy being people-driven and people-centered. And it was opened up. But what has been learned over the years is that while chambers of commerce can easily get down to Cape Town or attend hearings, it wasn't easy for people from rural areas. Now, some committees have started to go to rural areas, but I think it's still inadequate, but I think it's an opportunity. We know, for example, that the previous version of the Traditional Courts Bill was actually defeated partly because the public intervened at a number of hearings that were held, so that when the provinces came to report on what the public of their province felt about the bill, all except, I think it was Northwest, reported that their communities were opposed to it. So the parliamentary processes are not just State of the Nation or people making speeches there, but they're also the interface between the public and Parliament itself. Now, you also asked me about the ANC in this regard. You know, the ANC is in a little bit of disarray. I mean, it would be interesting today to see if they give President Zuma a standing ovation, since some of them were calling for him to step down a year back. So they're in an ambiguous position. I understand that they have a caucus position, that they can't support a vote of no confidence. That's how it is. And you can't expect someone to do that. So they've got the situation of ambiguity in relationship to their leader and a sort of paralysis. And whoever comes in now will face similar constraints. People expecting financial rewards from being an ANC councillor or MP or whatever it is.
Thank you, Professor. That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Crima Media's Polity about how do we break out of empty politics.